America produces more oil than any country on Earth, yet it still imports millions of barrels every single day. That sounds like a failure. It isn't. It's one of the most misunderstood business decisions in the global energy system. And if you're running any business that depends on fuel, logistics, manufacturing, transportation, or commodities, this decision affects you, whether you notice it or not. Here's the controversial truth. The U.S. oil system is not designed to maximize independence. It's designed to maximize efficiency, margin stability, and system reliability. To understand why, you have to stop thinking about oil as a national resource and start thinking about it as a supply chain business. Let's rewind. For most of the 20th century, the U.S. oil business was simple. Oil was extracted, refined, and consumed largely within the same system. Refineries were built to process heavy crude, thick, dense oil that was abundant globally and predictable in composition. That refinery infrastructure was a multi-decade capital bet. Once built, it locked in how oil would be processed for generations. Then came the shale revolution. After 2008, new drilling techniques unlocked massive volumes of oil trapped in shale formations. Production surged faster than anyone expected, but the type of oil changed. Shale produces light crude, chemically different from what most U.S. refineries were optimized to handle. This created a business mismatch. On one side, producers suddenly had abundant light oil. On the other, refineries built for heavy oil that couldn't efficiently process it. Refineries are not software. You can't update them cheaply. Converting a refinery costs billions, takes years, and carries regulatory risk. From a capital allocation standpoint, it's one of the worst bets a company can make unless returns are guaranteed. So energy companies faced a decision. Option 1, rebuild domestic infrastructure at enormous cost and long payback periods. Option 2, arbitrage, the global market. They chose arbitrage. The U.S. exports excess light crude to countries with refineries designed for it. At the same time, it imports heavy crude that fits existing U.S. refinery capacity. This isn't inefficiency, it's optimization, and it explains the so-called oil paradox. Now here's where the story gets more interesting and more relevant to business. Oil pricing is global. It doesn't matter where oil is produced, prices are set by international supply and demand. Even if the U.S. consumed only domestic oil, fuel prices would still move with global markets. This means the business goal is not isolation, it's exposure management. Energy companies don't want a single source of supply. They want flexibility, multiple suppliers, multiple routes, multiple grades of oil. Why? Because reliability beats purity in large systems. This same logic shows up in every scaled business. Manufacturers don't rely on one supplier. Retailers don't rely on one distribution route. Cloud companies don't rely on one data center. Redundancy is expensive until it's necessary. The oil system is built the same way. Now add refining economics. Refineries make money on spreads, the difference between crude input costs and refined output prices. Their profitability depends on running near full capacity. Idle refineries are value destruction. Imports keep those refineries running. Exports keep producers drilling. The system stays balanced. That balance is why the export ban was lifted in 2015. Not because of ideology, but because production without export access would collapse under its own weight. From a business lens, exports weren't a giveaway. They were a pressure valve. Now let's talk about the part most people ignore. Time horizon. Energy infrastructure decisions are 30 to 50-year bets. But demand patterns change faster than that. No executive wants to commit billions to new refinery capacity when the long-term future of oil consumption is uncertain. That uncertainty makes capital cautious. So instead of rebuilding the system, companies use the one that already exists and trade around its limitations. This is where the idea of energy independence breaks down as a business concept. Independence implies control, but control is expensive. Energy companies prioritize security, not independence. Security means predictable supply, diversified sources, stable margins, minimal disruption. And from that perspective, the current system works. Now, why does this matter to businesses outside energy? Because fuel costs ripple through everything. Transportation, aviation, shipping, manufacturing, agriculture, retail pricing. Any shift in oil logistics, refining constraints, or supply routes shows up downstream. often before headlines catch up. Businesses that assume oil is a domestic problem misunderstand their risk exposure. It's a global input with local bottlenecks. And that's the real takeaway. America isn't losing energy independence. It's operating a complex capital-intensive supply chain, optimized for today's constraints, not ideological goals. Could the system change? Yes, but only if the economics change first. Until then, the oil business will continue doing what every large business does: optimize for cost, reliability, and flexibility, even if the optics confuse everyone watching from the outside. If you want more breakdowns like this, not political takes, not surface explanations, but how real systems actually work, like the video, subscribe to Founder Decisions, and stay here. We don't follow narratives. We analyze decisions.